How do you now apply it in a way that gets you the real results that you want? And we think that you're very wise in recognizing that the first order of business is to be done with the doubt. So we're going to come back to something that we said earlier. Everyone can relate, or most can relate in some way. So $100,000 in debt, would like to be $100,000 in the black, $200,000 gap. So not likely that that's going to change today in terms of what's actually in your bank account. But it is likely that you could go from doubt to positive expectation if you are willing to stay focused on a steady stream of conversation long enough to get the momentum going. And you don't need us. We would help do it. You don't need us to do it. You can find your own way out of your own doubt. But you have to understand that it's the doubt that you're trying to find your way out of, not the accomplishment of whatever it is that you doubt that you can accomplish. Did you hear that? That the work is to work your way out of the feeling of doubt, not into the having of whatever it is that you feel doubtful about. That's so big. Because the process to work your way out of doubt is a gradual process, but it's a for sure process. You can do it. You just have to show yourself that you can do it. And if you can do it once, you can do it twice. And if you can do it twice, you can do it 3 times. And if you can do it for a few days or a few weeks, then you can own that vibration about that subject. And so we start in very basic places. We start about things for which, as far as we are concerned, there can be no doubt. Law of attraction abounds. Accept it or don't, but it abounds. Now, us just saying that doesn't make you know it. We can know it with everything that we are and we do, but our knowing it doesn't make you know it, because you might have practiced a strong enough thought contrary to that when we are even in the same space, we're not communicating on the same vibrational frequency. So that difference in frequency, let's say a friend knows something and you think you know something different or do know something different. So there's a difference of opinion there. If you are having a difference of an opinion between yourself and someone else, that is not going to bring you an emotion of doubt. It's only when you have a difference of opinion with the source within you about that topic. In other words, doubt is your own contradiction of your own vibration. It doesn't have anything to do with the practical reality of something. It doesn't have anything to do with the certainty of something. The feeling of doubt is just, I've got contradictory energy. I say I want it, and then I say I don't have it. And I say I want it, and then I say I don't have it. And then I say I want it, and then I say I don't have it. That equals contradictory energy, and that's what equals that feeling of doubt. So when you say, I want to talk about the subject of doubt, what we hear you say is, I want to talk about the subject of contradicted energy in me. When we hear you say, I want to talk about the subject of contradicted energy in me, we hear you say, I want to talk about my not very practiced focus. I want to talk about my sloppy thinking. I want to talk about me looking at stuff I don't want and looking at it long enough that I get momentum. I want to talk about me looking at what is instead of thinking about what can be, and letting what is dominate my vibration when what can be is what's dominating my source energy's vibration. My inner being's focused upon what's becoming. I'm focused on what hasn't become yet. That's what doubt is. Isn't this a good conversation?
Excellent. It tells me everything.
Yeah. So all you got to do is find things that feel good when you think about them. This is perhaps the most important conversation that we would ever have with anyone who's wanting to be the deliberate creator of their own reality. You don't have to take the subject of your desire and think about it until it happens. And in fact, when you take the subject of your desire and you think about it till it happens, it usually doesn't happen anytime soon. Because you're thinking about the subject that you want to happen from the perspective of it not happening, and you're introducing resistance into the equation, causing split energy, which makes you feel doubtful. And then you say, I think my doubt is killing this project. And we say, no, your doubt is the indication that you're killing this project with contradictory thought. You got that, didn't you?
I did.
So just cut it out. Stop beating the drum of anything that makes you feel doubt, and beat the drum of what makes you feel encouraged about things. Look for things that you feel already encouraged about.
Can you give me an example of when doubt creeps in, how I can correct, eliminate, whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing?
That's not the time to do it, because that's like, Abraham, I've fallen out of an airplane. I don't have a parachute. What should I do now?
Okay.
Hang on, it'll be over in a little bit.
Okay.
Because there's momentum that's going on. So the time that you correct the doubt, drum roll, is before you have it. You practice believing on things that are easy to believe until the practice of positive expectation is just your practiced chronic nature. In other words, how are you going to come to feel your invincibility when clearly there are things that you've never done? Well, by focusing on the things that you have done and just keeping that vibration so active that there's just not room for the contradictory vibration. I had a conversation one day with a woman on the telephone. She was having none of us. She just wanted us to give her some magic something that would take her directly to the condition that she wanted. And since we were trying to teach her how to create her own reality, we were extremely annoying to her. So we said, find something to think about that isn't those things that you're thinking about all the time about what you want. Why would I do that? Because if you can think about the things that you're not thinking about all the time, you have a chance of shifting your vibration. And if you have a chance of shifting your vibration, then things will shift in response to your shifted vibration. Your reality will change. Oh, she wasn't having any of that either. Like what? Like what do you think I should think about? We said, well, things that don't matter very much to you and that you don't have contradictory energy already going, because every subject's really two subjects. If you've got this, if you're feeling lack of abundance and it's really strong within you, every time you talk about money, you're going to practice the feeling of lack of abundance. You just can't get around it. You got to start in some other place. Like what? We said, well, like, think about butterflies and blue glass and feathers. And she literally went in the phone. It was a telephone conversation. What possible good could that do if I think about things that are meaningless to me? We said, well, it would cause you to practice a resistance-free vibration. So she hung up. She wasn't having any of it. Jerry had not heard the conversation because he was not in the room. They were in San Diego. They were going to La Jolla for lunch. And as they got to La Jolla, Esther felt a very strong impulse to go into a shop. Now that in and of itself is not odd at all. But the degree to which she felt the impulse was strong, and Jerry couldn't hold her back from it, which he was usually pretty good at. And so she just bolted in. He followed her in. She made her way all the way to a back wall in this shop that went in. And once she got in there was a display wall, ceiling to floor, blue glass. Well, Esther didn't think about it. She didn't make the association between the thought that we had presented and what she was seeing. And they weren't looking for blue glass. They weren't interested in blue glass. They found the amount of blue glass noticeable, shockingly noticeable, commented on it, and then made their way out. They were on their way to George's in La Jolla for lunch. So they went down and had lunch and came out, and then they walked down to the cove, to the ocean. And as they were walking across this grassy park, they were surrounded by a flurry of butterflies that was so intense that they had to stop talking in order to not eat them. Intense butterfly invasion. And they were laughing and sort of waving them away from their nose and eyes, and still Esther didn't realize what was happening. And then a little boy came running across the field and had something for Esther. He was clearly coming directly to Esther, holding up a feather for her that he had found on the ground. And when Esther took the feather, she realized that the blue glass and the butterflies and the feather had all been something that we had all focused on together in a non-resistant state. And that the universe said, since this is active in your vibration right now, and since there is nothing contradicting this active vibration right now, then this will be a very easy thing for you to realize in your experience. So their movement through time and space was influenced. The timing of where they went and when they went there. The conversations that they were having with one another. The unfolding of their day caused them to rendezvous in less than 2 hours with all of these things, because that's how law of attraction works. When something's active in your vibration, all unseen and seen forces are moving toward the fulfillment of that in your experience, unless you have doubt. And it's not the doubt that we're talking about. The doubt's just the indication of the contradictory vibration, which is only you beating the drum of a subject in contradiction to what you really want. You get this? In other words, you get to create your vibrational atmosphere, and you get to make it as detailed as you want. You get to add the momentum to the things that you want. And this time-space reality, if this time-space reality has inspired within you the desire for something, it is our absolute promise to you that it can deliver the goods in fuller fashion than you have even had the ability to imagine in its fullness, because you haven't imagined it in its fullness. You imagined it in its incrementalness. Increment by increment, you put pieces of it into the vortex. And the universe has brought, by law of attraction, all of these things together. We are co-creating together, you see. Just understand your very important role. And most important, understand your most important work, which is that worthiness factor. So how does worthiness fit in with doubt? Well, worthiness is the emotion that you feel when you're not contradicting your own desire. And doubt is the emotion that you feel when you are contradicting your own desire. And why right now might you be contradicting your own desire? Because you've been practicing contradictory thoughts and they never felt good. Then why am I doing it now? Because you got used to not feeling good. You got used to the feeling of doubt. So much so that one day a woman said, we were trying to encourage her to talk about what she wanted instead of about what she didn't want. And she couldn't come up with much. And so we said, well, do you want such and such? And she said, oh, I don't want that. I've already got that. Well, what about such and such? Well, I don't want that either. I've already got that. She actually thought that desire or wanting means that feeling of not having it, that yearning feeling, that if the yearning feeling isn't present, then I don't really want it. And if the contented feeling is present, then the universe isn't going to give me more because I'm already contented. And that isn't the way that it is. Are you getting this? Mm-hmm. So you just have to talk yourself out of doubt. So how do you talk yourself out of doubt? Well, you can't. Well, Abraham, you lost your mind. You just said, talk yourself out of doubt. How do I talk myself out of doubt? You can't. You have to talk yourself into believing. Because there's no exclusion in this universe. You can't make something go away. You can only make something else be present. And so when you tune your tuner, you're tuning into frequencies. And it's fair to say, while you're tuning into this frequency, you are tuning out of that frequency. But it is our promise to you that if you were to focus on tuning out of that frequency, you would tune into that frequency that you're trying to tune out of. Are you following us? Mm-hmm. You want to focus on what you want. You want to think about what you want. You want to start slow where it's easy. And if you have to think about butterflies and blue glass and feathers until you can show yourself, Esther and friends, they've had so much fun. They make lists of things that they don't care about, and then they watch how many of them the universe will bring to them today. Long list. Let's go find how much the universe can bring us that we don't care about. Oh, we cared about it enough to write it down. We just didn't care about it enough to worry about it. We just didn't care about it enough to doubt it. And we want everything that you care about to get into that category pretty quick. I don't doubt anything for myself because I know that I'm the creator of my own reality, and I know that I'm an extension of source energy, and I know that I was worthy in ways that I can't even find ways to describe. I know the goodness of my being. That's why I'm here. That's why I was given this opportunity. That's why I have this body. It's why I created all of this. I'm the creator of my own experience.